Hello everybody, thanks for joining in. Today we are in Wisconsin Dells and we are here to do an Upper Dells boat tour. So come join our adventure. This is where we got our tickets and we're just waiting until we have to go meet the boat. So there is all of the boats and we are going to be heading down. So we got some stairs to go down to get in line. I'm going to turn it around so you can see where we're going. So that's where we're going. Upper Dells Boat Docks. So look at all those boats. Hello.
Yep. You come right up this way. And take the first seat here in this row. Jim?
You know, I was out in Grand Canyon a few years ago. And they say out there, people are taking pictures.
So we're just waiting now for our boat tour. So catch you in a few minutes.
To the D-ring on the front of this life vest. Clip it here, pull that belt tight. You're ready for a nice relaxing float down the Wisconsin River today. Now, we've never had to use these life jackets, not planning on using them today, but this is just so that you know where they're located and how to use them in the case of an emergency.
Good strap on, so you won't lose it.
Yes, that's on my wrist. I know, I was looking at all the dings and scratches.
We are currently embarking on a 10-mile, 2-hour round trip along the beautiful Upper Dells of the Wisconsin River. Just behind us is the Kilbourne Dam that does separate the Lower Dells from the Upper Dells. In case there's any doubt in your mind, you are in fact on the Upper Dells today. We will be making 2 shore landings on our journey in Witch's Gulch, a beautiful little slot canyon on the river, and at Stand Rock, our iconic rock formation with our jumping German shepherds in Juneau County. I know you heard a little bit about it before, and we'll be learning more about it when we get there. Now, just up ahead of us here, you are going to see the river narrowing. We have these tall cliffs on either side. We're getting a really good view of it, just straight ahead. Now, we call this the Jaws of the Dells. It really marks the beginning of some of these beautiful, unique rock formations we're going to see along our trip today. Now, if you look off to your right-hand side, you will see that cliff there is called High Rock. It does have some cultural and ceremonial significance to our local tribe. They are known as the Ho-Chunk people, which translates to people of the big voice. Now, if you take a look off to your left-hand side, just opposite High Rock here, we have Romance Cliff. Now, ironically, Romance Cliff is several feet taller than High Rock. As we pass in between these 2 cliffs here, we will actually be passing over the deepest water along the entirety of the Wisconsin River. It's about 110 feet deep between these 2 cliffs. Now as we continue upriver, it'll be between 90 and 35 feet on average. But right here is the deepest spot along that whole 435-mile stretch. Now if you take a look up ahead and to your right, once again, you will see this tall cylindrical rock sticking out by itself on this promontory here. Because of its shape, we call that chimney rock. Now we have some very distinct layers on chimney rock, and we'll come back to why that is in just a little bit. If you look behind chimney rock on the same side of the river, you'll see some more chimney rocks forming, slowly eroding away from the surrounding cliff faces. Come back in a few 100,000 years, ask for Mark and Mary Stewart, and we'll check on the progress of those chimney rocks in the making. Now just up ahead and to the right again, you are going to see this bare spot on the banks. It is said to resemble a profile, a face in the rock. We've got the slit at the top for the eyes, the prominent nose, and the slit at the bottom for a mouth. We're taking a nice sidelong view of it here. And we call this Black Hawk profile. Black Hawk was a leader of the Sauk tribe and was involved in a land dispute with the government. Now the Sauk tribe was not actually from this area, but when Black Hawk was fleeing from the government, it is said that he came to the Wisconsin Dells area to hide out. Now we do have several more Black Hawk place names as we continue upriver. You will notice them as we point them out to you on our trip today. Now Black Hawk was eventually captured up near Tomah, Wisconsin, which is about an hour north of here.
Okay, so we are in Witch's Gulch, and I will show you the fantastic scenery around here and show you this sign. And we're going to walk through all of the rock formations here.
So fast. Get down there, son.
It's very narrow. This is Witch's Bathtub and Witch's Falls.
Okay, I'm gonna get started here. I highly recommend you find a spot on one of these ramps. It's gonna give you the best view, the best photographic opportunity. So, welcome to Stand Rock. It is about 45 feet tall, about 10 by 12 feet across. At the widest point, the platform at the top. Distance to the mainland to the top of the rock is about 5.5 feet at the narrowest point. This is our most iconic and most photographed land formation here in Wisconsin Dells. Now, before we had our water parks, golf courses, go-karts, and upside-down White Houses, all that we had here in the Dells was the river, the rock formations, and the people who loved it. Now, there was a famous photographer from Canada by the name of Henry Hamilton Bennett, also known as H.H. Bennett, who really fell in love with this area and decided to devote his entire photographic career to taking pictures of just this section of the river. Now, back then, it took quite a while for a photo to actually be taken. You had to sit still for quite a while. Now, that's why you don't see people smiling in a lot of older photographs, because it is quite uncomfortable to hold a smile for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, unless, of course, you are a politician, in which case you're probably somewhat practiced at such a thing. But H.H. Bennett is actually the individual who invented the shutter. Now that is what is in your camera today. It allows you to take an instant photograph. Now back then that did not exist. The first photo that H.H. Bennett premiered to the world to show off his new invention was actually one of those lumbermen riding a raft down the river. He had thrown a rope on a shore, and H.H. Bennett caught that rope suspended midair. Now people thought that this photo was somehow faked. They thought that perhaps there was a wire in the rope or something was holding it up. So H.H. Bennett decided he would prove once and for all that he had indeed invented stop action photography. He set his camera up in the rocks behind you there, and like any good father would do, he set his 14-year-old son Ashley up to the top of the rock to jump across. Now that first shot wasn't quite what H.H. Bennett was looking for, so we had Ashley do it again and again, for a total of about 17 times before he got that perfect shot. Now that perfect shot is in fact the photograph that you see in front of you here today. That was taken in 1888. It did prove once and for all that H.H. Bennett had invented stop-action photography. Now this photograph went on to tour the world. No one had ever seen anything like this before. It won many awards and accolades, and people do say that this very photograph is actually the reason that Wisconsin Dells is such well known as a destination today. So now that we have a little bit of background, we're all going to go up around the back and everyone can jump across the rock. All right, but if you are dying to know if you would have made that jump, there is actually an H.H. Bennett museum downtown. It was his working photography studio back when he was alive and taking pictures in this area. They do have printed on the carpet at the museum a replica of Stand Rock and the jump, so you can try it at ground level if you're dying to know if you would have made it up there. But today we are going to have one of our jumping German Shepherds of Juneau County make that leap across for us. We have Angus jumping for us today. Now Angus is very fast. He'll jump once across and once back. I highly recommend you take video rather than try to get a picture. We're not going to have Angus jump 17 times today. So I'll give you just a moment to get your cameras ready. Alright, is everybody ready? Okay, we're ready!
Ooh.
Alright,
Yay! Oh!
we also have Sarah up there. She's our dog trainer. She keeps those dogs happy and healthy while they do their job for us. So thank you, Sarah.
Hopefully you can see that.
Okay,
Put
now
his
at
little
this
paw
point
up.
in time, if you are going back to the boat, you're going to go with Mark and go back down the dock. If you want to make the walk here, you're going to go down the cement path to the right. Again, please no jumping, climbing, or carving on the rocks. Oh, I'm sure I'll be up there.
I can just do this. We're in the tunnel. See? See him way up there. Okay, so we're heading back to the boat. It is about 1 o'clock, so we still have about half an hour or so left of our tour. Probably just enough time to head back.
Now at this point on our trip, we are going to be turning around and heading back downriver the same way that we came up. Now there are a few reasons for that. If you look kind of to your left and slightly behind us, that's north of us, upriver, you'll see that it is very flat. There really aren't that many more rock formations to see. If we did want to see them, there are a few scattered here and there, we would be hard pressed to get to them. The water north of that large mound-shaped bluff is sometimes so shallow that I have managed to beach my kayak several times up there. We drop about 5.5 feet. We do not want to get beached out there.
So we just got done with our boat tour, and we're now on the Riverwalk. So highly recommend the tour if you have 2.5 hours or so in Wisconsin Dells and you're looking for something to do. It is the Upper Dells tour that we took, and like I said, it takes about 2.5 hours from start to finish. We make 2 stops. One was at which is Gulch, and then the other one was at Stand Rock. So we got to see a dog that jumped over the famous Stand Rock there. So that was really cool. And so now we are on the Riverwalk in the Dells.